there, my YouTube gang? What's up? It's Johnnyversity again in another unplanned video. Now, I've dealt with the young jerks before, especially with their brother leader, Chunky Yogurt, who self-advertises himself as
this guy on YouTube is speaking truth to power.
And has a group of fucking mindless drones for an army.
I have an announcement!
I have an announcement!
We're going to start a fight!
Start a fight!
Yeah, and you're all individuals too. Now, I've had this argument with my subs for quite a while regarding the Young Turks employing and promoting carefully crafted covert anti-Semitism. An argument which hopefully I will put to rest today, while teaching you how to be aware of rhetorical tactics used by politicians, propagandists, etc. Okay, so racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, etc. are quite easy to spot using what we call the 2D test. Taking for instance the hot topic of Muslims. You know someone is an Islamophobe. Damn, I hate that fucking term. When he uses double standards, meaning criticize Muslims alone for something that other ideologies and religions aspire to too, but then also follows to dehumanize Muslims in tactics that unfortunately we're all very well aware of. Well, in case you didn't know, this applies also to Israel. And double standards towards and dehumanization of Israel is something the young turds have turned into a fucking art form. So, exhibit number 1. Here are all the videos that the young Turks have made on Israel. And believe me, they aren't that positive. Exhibit number 2.
The Turkish army invaded, ostensibly to protect the minority Turkish Cypriots. But they never left, partitioning the island and sending thousands of Greek Cypriots fleeing to the south. On both sides, many thousands died and disappeared.
So while Israel is repeatedly criticized by the young jerks for occupying Palestinian land, one would expect them to do at least one fucking video about the unlawful occupation of northern Cyprus by Turkey. So, how many videos were made? Exactly. Exhibit number 3.
So far, the civil war in southeast Turkey has taken nearly 37,000 lives, more than the conflicts in Northern Ireland and the West Bank combined. The Scorched Earth campaign in Turkey has destroyed almost 3,500 Kurdish villages.
The Turkish military has adopted as a matter of policy depopulating whole villages. Many people have simply disappeared. They've been seen, taken away by Turkish forces, and then just never seen again.
Turkey is trying to deal with the PKK, which is an armed group. Their strategy for dealing with them is to indiscriminately kill people in the southeast of Turkey.
Now, the young turds accuse Israel of denying Palestinians the rights to statehood, crushing their national aspiration, and indiscriminately killing them. Now, please note that in their ongoing oppression of Kurds, Turkey has managed in half the time to kill and displace 4 times as many more people than Israel did. Now, does that deserve at least one video? Well, in young Turks' rationale, I guess not. And the double standards don't only apply to Israel's actions, but also to the nature of Palestinian resistance. So while Chunky Turd has to say this about the Kurdish PKK,
the PKK, that is a terrorist Kurdish organization,
he portrays Hamas as a fucking moderate group.
Here's the leader of Hamas saying, no, we don't need all of Israel.
And just so you'll know, he just lied to you through his fucking teeth because he omitted the rest of the fucking speech made by Hamas's leader.
أما إنه حماس ستقبل خطوات لم تكن تقبل بها من قبل، أقول بوضوح يا إخواننا وأخواتنا، ثوابتنا وحقوقنا وأهدافنا الاستراتيجية لا تراجع عنها، لكننا واقعيون ونعرف أن الأمور تتم بالتدريج وبمراحل. الحق الفلسطيني كما هو، لكن بالتأكيد نحن نؤمن بالمرحلية، نؤمن بالتدرج، ونؤمن بالواقعية، وعندنا قدرة أن ننجز حقوقنا خطوة خطوة، وكل أرض نحررها سنقيم دولتنا بشرط أن تكون هناك سيادة حقيقية على الأرض إن شاء الله.
And just so you'll remember who Hamas are, here's a Hamas TV program for kids.
بدنا احنا نضحي يا سراء عشان يطردوا من ارضنا اكيد.
ما هو بدنا يعني نطردهم من ارضنا
ما هو اذا ما ردوش بالسلام ولا بالكلمه ولا بالحدوته لازم بالشخم.
Now, before I go on to the really nasty dehumanization part, still on the topic of not doing videos on shit, here's an interesting fact. In the early 20th century, a new revolutionary group called the Young Turks took power in the Ottoman Empire and managed to massacre a million Armenians. A crime that until today, Turkey refuses to admit to. And one would fucking expect a liberal media outlet named after that fucking genocidal group to do at least one fucking video about it. So what happens when you type Armenians in the search term? Kim fucking Kardashian. And Turkey just got off the hook. Again. Incidentally, Kim Kardashian was lately criticized for supporting Israel in the last Gaza-Israel conflict. Speaking of Israel, from all the hundreds of videos the Young Turks have made about Israel, two caught my eye. The first one was an entire video dedicated to the Palestinian prisoners' hunger strike in Israel, which met with zero fucking videos about the Kurdish prisoners' hunger strike in, you guessed it, Turkey. But the second one, and this is where it gets interesting, is this.
A Swedish newspaper had reported that Israel was killing Palestinians to harvest organs from them.
Now, this article is actually an anti-Semitic spin on a 10-year-old story published in Israel's largest newspaper, exposing a rather shady Dr. Yehuda Hiss that, in order to alleviate organ donation shortage, decided to harvest organs during autopsies without asking permission and against the law. Many of the subjects, by the way, were IDF soldiers, but also anyone else who came through the doors of the institute. And once the organs were harvested, he donated them to organ banks, universities, and hospitals in Israel. And this is just a short list of Yehuda Hiss's story, which was then regurgitated and distorted to create a good old new age, medieval type anti-Semitic blood libel. And what does Yogurt have to say about it?
Turns out it's fairly true.
And how does he know?
They just admit it.
And here's where it gets interesting. You see, they, you would assume, is Israel, although they is actually him, Dr. Hiss, admitting in a recording that was aired by the Israeli Channel 2 TV in 2009 in his own voice to things that everybody already knew that is done from a trial and an investigation 10 years before. Now, what do you think is the first thing that comes to Chunky Turd's brain when he hears it?
Think about how it looks to the Palestinians.
On the other hand, normal people might have also asked, how does that look to the families of dead IDF soldiers, which were one of the largest groups subject to organ harvesting? And now get ready for propagandistic rhetoric course 101 Young Turks style. First, use the age-old tactic of being extra gruesome in order to shut down your audience's critical thinking.
Think about how it looks to the Palestinians. So let me get this right. After you kill our guys, you skin them, and you take out their eyeballs and their hearts.
Now construct a soft argument, preferably in the form of a question with a false accusation in it.
Well, look, if they're making money off of this, and that's obviously part of the reason that they're doing it.
Now remember, this wasn't even mentioned anywhere. And suddenly, Israel isn't only doing it, but they're doing it for money. And now, moving on from just part of the reason, we go to...
I would imagine a very large part of the reason.
Do you notice the genius of it? Tactic number 2. Validate your prior false accusation with another soft argument, hopefully again in a form of a grammatical question without a question mark. And continue doing this until you build up to your point. So we'll start with this.
Do they have an economic incentive to have more bodies? Of course they do.
Then this.
So I don't know that these guys at the Institute tell the Israeli army, go kill a couple more Palestinians because I want their corneas or I want their skin.
And finally, bring the fucking hammer down.
You create an environment in which people profit from more dead bodies